Hello there. I think we are live. So let me have a look here and see. Oh, I've got some people that have joined already. Fabulous. Hello, Jackie. Lovely to see you. Okay, so if you're live with me, I can see lots of people joining now. If you can just say hi into the chat and let me know who you are, where you're from, and that you can hear me okay, that would be fabulous. I'm not going to wait very long for people to join because I don't want to waste time for those of you that have turned up on time. I can see people joining now. Lovely. Okay, so Jackie, can you let me know? Can you hear me okay? And can you see the slide deck? And then, yes, hello. Hey, Leslie, nice to see you. Just up the road from me. Hi, Nina. Good. Okay, lovely. So I'm assuming that you can hear everything okay because everybody's saying hello. So we're going to go on, I think, and make a start. Let's see how many people we've got now live. Lovely. Okay, good. So I can still see people joining actually. Right then, 2 more seconds and we'll just make a start. Okay, lovely. We've got Neil. Hello, Neil. Nice to see you. Hello, Lillian. And Natalie. Hello. Roger. Hello. Nice to see you. And then Nicola, lovely. Okay, so we've got loads of people here joining. Fabulous. Right then, let's crack on. You carry on and say hi into the chat, and then and we'll go from there. So today's masterclass then is on a topic that I absolutely love to talk about. It's how to build a mindset for success and win in 2024. Now, I love talking about this because it's really a topic that's not really widely known about. And when people really understand it, it has a massive impact for them. The thing is, most people don't spend much time or invest much energy in how to achieve peak personal performance. So on how to grow themselves personally so that they show up with their A game consistently, so that they're operating at their full potential and achieve their goals faster, with more ease, with less work, less effort and less stress. And let me share, when you do that, you can go all out in your life. You can go after the life and the success that you want. And that actually is so capable of achieving. And as a person, I'm all about getting results with speed and efficiency, and I'm about getting results as quickly as I possibly can without wasting any time. So with that being said, my aims for today's masterclass are going to be these. So I'd really like to provide you with as much information as I possibly can in the hour we've got together. So get your notepad and pen out because you'll want to take notes. And I'm going to share with you insights and methods that are actually based in neuroscience, so you know what you need to do to achieve your goals faster and actually why what I talk about works. And I'm going to take time at the end to introduce you to my Limitless Success Academy that focuses on building a mindset for business and success. So even when things feel like they're uncertain around you, you don't get held up, that you continue to make progress and move forward and achieve your goals. Now, that being said, some of you will be interested in how I can help you take this on a step, but some of you won't. And so even if that's not for you, then you're going to walk away with plenty of actions that you can take anyway. And then there's just one rule for today: no questions are off limits. So I've built this business by sharing how I've changed my mindset, by sharing how I've built my mindset for success in business, and how I've used that to take my business, myself, my clients forward, so that we all reach our goals faster. And I share the problems and the challenges that I've faced along the way openly across social media because I'm really passionate about this. And I want everybody to truly thrive in their life and achieve their aspirations and ultimately just live their best life. And so that's not going to change today. So ask me any question you like. And I've left time for that at the end so that you can do that. So we've got a few minutes at the end where you can ask me anything you like. But if you do ask a question, can you ask it into the Q&A? Because sometimes that chat can get quite busy. So I don't want to miss anything. So if we've not met before, I'm Leanne Bridges. I'm a high performance coach and I support business owners, leaders and high achievers to unlock their full potential and reach peak personal performance so that they achieve their goals faster. Now, I'm not going to spend ages telling you about my career history because let's face it, that's just a waste of your time. But if you do want to learn more about me and my history and what I do, you can check that out on LinkedIn. You can see what my profile looks like here. So you'll also find on LinkedIn, I share stacks of tips and insights. I post every day. And you can see that there are loads of recommendations on the platform for the work I do and the results I get for clients. And you'll find those on Google and my website. And so I put a QR code up here because if we're not connected on LinkedIn, I'd love to connect with you. The connect button is hidden under the more button. So just if you go and find that and then actually connect with me so that we can have a conversation, I can answer any of your questions there too. But the one fact I'm going to share with you about myself today is that I have experienced everything that I talk about. I've been there, I've experienced, I've made all the changes. And if you want to ask me any more about my experience at the end, then absolutely feel free to do that, because I really appreciate how all this stuff feels and what it really takes to change it. So let's get on to what you're here for. How can you build a mindset for success and get the business success you actually deserve? So I'm going to start here. So I've spoken now with 750, it's actually a lot more than that now, business owners, leaders and consultants, and that grows every week. And there are 5 reasons why most people are failing to get the results that they deserve. And these reasons are really common across every conversation. So I'm going to take you through these now. And as I reveal these, I want you to just take time to think about where you're at personally and where it is you might be getting held up right now. And I'm going to ask you to share your answers. It's up to you how you share. You can share it with me privately if you pick that option, or you can share with me with everybody. That's completely up to you. But let me know so that as we go through today, I can tailor this masterclass as much as I can to help the majority of people on live. So as I go through them now, and just notice which ones of these are relevant for you. So the first one is, and most people tell me that gets in their way, is that they know that they're really good at what they do. Most of them exceptionally good at what they do, but despite knowing it, they don't feel good at what they do. Okay, so they know they're good logically, but they don't feel like they're good at what they do. And the problem that this creates is that they find that they're doubting themselves and their actions or their decisions. And so then they start second guessing themselves. And this mental looping, it takes up time, it burns your energy, and it really slows people down. And, these are all people who have had years of experience, who are running businesses or in really senior exec roles. But the feelings of doubt, they just keep flooding in and they just get in their way. So, I'd be interested, do you doubt yourself, even though you logically know that you're really good at what you do? I'd be interested to hear. And then the second reason is that people think that if they learn more or they get more knowledge or strategies or skills, that it's going to help them reach their goals. So they tell me things like they feel like they must know everything before they either take action or they share their expertise in sort of high pressure or high profile situations. And so they're worrying deep down that they'll be exposed as not knowing enough at some point. And so they spend a lot of time gathering lots of knowledge and information. Now, quite often they might do lots of courses or research or reading, all in an attempt to be armed with the knowledge that they think that they need. And so this desire for knowledge means that they might over prepare or over research things to compensate for thinking that they need to know more. And the time that this is taken up means that they're not making the progress they could have. Now, I had a client like this recently, and when we started working together, she was midway through a qualification, and it struck her that she actually never ever needed the qualification, that it was just a mindset thing, a story that she told herself about needing it to demonstrate her expertise. And then the third reason is that sometimes they see other people who they know might not be as competent or diligent. Maybe they know them from previous life, previous career, and then they see them start to nail it. And then they start to question, why is that? And so then there's this assumption that then starts going on for them, is that they're missing something. But what they quite often can't see is that self-belief is the missing link. And that's the difference with these other people. They are exuding confidence or exuding charisma or being very influential. And that's the thing, that's the missing link. It's that impact piece. Because if you want other people to believe in you, you've got to have rock solid belief in yourself, absolutely at your core. And this belief in yourself, this weird way of being, is not a personality trait like people sometimes think it might be. It is a mindset thing, and you absolutely can develop it much faster than you might actually expect. And so then number 4 is that they're failing to get the results they deserve because they set really exceptionally high standards that are unattainable. And then they start to criticize themselves if they're not achieving them. And these high standards and expectations, they take too long to achieve. And so when they see that they're not making fast progress, it gets demotivating and disappointing. And when you feel like that, it just drains the life out of you, it just sucks the life out of you when you feel that way. And so then it's really hard to move forward because you've got that going on. And then the fifth one is that they think they shouldn't need to work on themselves, so they should be able to deal with like this feeling of resistance, these sorts of feelings that are getting in their way. And so they feel like they need to be like superhuman and even see it as a bit of a weakness. And so because of this belief that they must be infallible and able to achieve everything without support, they just won't invest the time in themselves. They won't give themselves the time they need to grow. So they keep doing the same things and hoping something changes. So I'd love to know for you, like, which ones are resonating for you? Let's have a look. I just want to check the chat. Okay, so number 3 is resonating. Yeah, definitely struggling on days, you're saying. You're getting weekly imposter syndrome. Okay, those things are all perfectly normal and absolutely possible to overcome. So I'm going to how in a moment to see if anybody else is adding. Got some private comments coming through here. Okay, number 1 for you. Yeah, okay, we'll talk a bit more about that later on, about what the problem with knowing you're good and not feeling it, because that's a definite prevalent issue for people. Okay, good. So I'm going to carry on. So whichever one of those resonates for you, if you've got any of those issues here, by the end of the session, you'll know what you need to do to start making that change so that you can achieve your goals faster and with much more ease. And I'm going to do it by sharing with you my system. So this is a framework I use, and it's how I teach everything that I teach and that I do. So it underpins absolutely everything. You see, what I notice happening is lots of people do bits and pieces of this, and then they don't see results, and then they don't get the outcome they want, and so they think it doesn't work. But that's because they haven't got the whole process. And that's what you need to develop a strong mindset for success, where you're not on that roller coaster of one day feeling like you're winning and the next day feeling like you're just not getting anywhere, not making progress. So I think the first big question that we need to answer is, why should you focus on mindset? Well, look, there are some fundamental reasons why today's presentation is going to be really useful for you. The first one is this. Okay, life is just way too short. Most of you here now will be thinking that you need to make a change, and it's likely that you've been thinking about doing that for a while, because people tend to procrastinate on doing this. So my advice to you now, if you don't mind me sharing it, is to work out what's holding you back and take a decision about how you're going to move that forward. And I say that because I spent just so long overthinking things, worrying about things, doubting myself, second guessing myself. And I look back now and I think, well, like, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I make these changes so much earlier in my life? And that's why I do these masterclasses, because if I'd have had this back when I needed it, I would be years ahead of where I am now. Because if I'd have had this when I was wanting to start a business back when I was 26, and having actually started my business at 43, if I'd started my business back then, actually with the idea I had then, with the mindset I've got now, I would be light years ahead of where I am now. And just like that revelation that I've had, I can't tell you how many people say to me consistently, I wish I'd done it years ago. Because when you've made these changes, like, absolutely, why wouldn't you? It doesn't make any sense. The problem is, the majority of people, they just don't know the steps to take. And because most people that join these masterclasses are really smart and would have already taken them if they knew how to do it. So the second reason, I just want to ask you a question actually first before I talk about this, is how many times have you sat in meetings and not said what you wanted, and then not long later someone else says just the thing that you were going to say 20 minutes ago, and then you just missed your chance to share your expertise, to have your opinion or your voice heard first? And how often do you sit listening to other people talking about themselves and everything they've achieved, and you should be sharing the results that you've got, like promoting your business or your team or yourself and the difference you made, but you just don't do it? And that if you don't promote yourself, nobody else is going to do it. How many business deals or promotions have you missed because you're not visible enough? So the second reason is because, as you already know, you have to be visible, don't you, for people to see and hear you and think of you first when there's an opportunity. The thing is, most people don't take a step back and think, like, how can I get people to see and hear me? How can I get my message across? You know, the reality is most people, they don't do it because it doesn't actually really cross their mind. And it's such a powerful thing to do. It's like one of the really important things I help people to do is to take a step back and to look at how are they putting themselves forward, promoting themselves, you know, so that they speak and people listen. You know, I just wonder for you, have you ever felt like you're not having the impact that you want? So the third reason then is this: because you'll improve your relationships in every area of your life. You know, most people I work with find themselves feeling a bit misunderstood or maybe on the periphery of things, and they want to have a positive impact. They've got a deep desire to help people or improve things, but they find themselves in conversations or situations where they're just not saying things in a way that works, or where they're building the relationships and the connections that they want. And so they end up not knowing what to do to change that. They just don't know how to say things in a different way or show up in a different way, so that they have relationships where they can get their point of view across and it goes down really well, where the other person appreciates their perspective and what they're sharing. You know, where they feel like they're on the inside of things and driving things. So the third reason mindset change is so important is because you build better connections and relationships with people, and success in business and life, of course, is all about the quality of your relationships and the impact that you're making. So the reason why this is so fundamental, why I'm so passionate about this, is because when you make these mindset shifts, you go all out in your life, you go after what you want, you're visible, you're promoting yourself, you speak and other people really listen to you. You've got relationships and a connection with people that feel really good too. And when you get the right mindset, you start showing up with your A game, you're powerful, and all of that means that you reach your goals faster. You know, I'd love to know, would you like to show up with your A game every day? So I can see some more people into the chat. Mindset circle of doom here. Oh, absolutely. Our mind can take us into that spiral just so easily. Okay, and I can see some other people saying number 2 is prevalent for them. Okay, good. Right, so let's get into this. So there are 3 steps I'm going to share with you from my system today, and they're these. So they are: get clarity, take control, and make long-lasting changes. So part 1 is to get clarity. And there are 3 core aspects to this I'd love to share with you today. So the first stage is about getting clarity on 2 core things. Okay, one is what you want, and more importantly, the second is who you want to be, like how you want to be in your life. If you're here today, it's likely you feel a bit stuck with where you are now. Maybe you're seeking like a bit of a stronger sense of identity or purpose, so that you feel like you're having a real impact and driving forward in your life, and seeking the ability to make a positive change in your life and to show up as the person you want to be and to really get the results that you absolutely deserve. The thing is, while we aren't clear about what we want and who we are, we're just not focused enough. And from a mindset perspective, that lack of clarity is an absolute problem. You know, it's a scientific fact. If our mind isn't focused on what we want, if we keep thinking about what we don't want and what's not working, and one day we'll go all out and the next day thinking maybe we'll just give all this up and find something much easier to do, it's that lack of focus and that clarity, that lack of clarity that's getting in the way. And I could give you like all the tools, all the tactics, all the systems that I use to make these changes that you want to get to achieve the results that you want inside of my program. But until you really understand who you are and what makes you tick and what you want and what you're doing, why you're doing what you're currently doing, you're not going to be able to implement any of these tools to a point where it's going to make a long-lasting change for you. So the first part is being really clear about who you are and what it is that you actually really want. You know, I'd love to know, you know, do you ever question what it is that you truly want? Go through these phases of wondering like whether to do this or whether to just jack it and do that. Let me know into the chat if that's an issue for you, because I find that's really common. So the third step then is in Get Clarity is about identifying false beliefs. Now I'll explain, because lots of people aren't aware of this, but what many people don't realise is that they're hardwired into their minds some false beliefs about themselves that are impacting on how they behave, what they do, and the results that they're getting. You see, when we're young, before we're 7, things that happen or that we're told we accept as facts. And then we go through our whole life believing at an emotional level that these things are true. And no matter what your childhood, you could have had the most amazing childhood, people pick up these false beliefs. Because before we're 7, we can't rationalise things. So we accept them as the truth. And the sorts of things that we pick up like vary person to person. But some of the most common things I hear all the time are things like, I don't feel like I'm capable enough. I'm not sure if I'm really good enough. I don't think I know enough. And I don't feel smart enough. Those are sort of some of the common things. And, you know, I talk to lots of people about all of this, and it's perfectly human. It's just things that we've accidentally come to believe about ourselves. And what people find hard to grasp is how, on one hand, they absolutely know that they're good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. In fact, they know that they're capable of amazing results deep down, because lots of people I work with are really smart. But the thing is, they don't feel that way. Okay, and that's back to point 1. They logically know that they can do it, but they don't feel it. And that feeling is actually what's stopping them. Okay, that's a problem. It's an emotional problem, not a logical problem, because if it was logical, these people would have worked it all out already, because they're smart, they've got good businesses, good jobs, but they know that they're not operating at their full potential, and this is why. Okay, it's just human nature that this happens, and I'll share with you what to do about it today. But before I do that, I think if I just give you a bit more context so that you can really sort of appreciate what I'm saying as I go through. So what lots of people don't realise, you may or may not have heard this, is we've got a conscious and an unconscious part in our mind. Sometimes people refer to it as a subconscious, but you can see here the difference between the two parts of our mind. In the conscious part of our mind, we do all our thinking. That's in our awareness, like when we're trying to figure something out and we're mentally going through it all. And in the unconscious part of our mind, we store things that we've learned to do and all the things we've come to believe about ourselves too. And it's almost like a computer program. And then as something happens, we automatically process it. We go to our unconscious in milliseconds without even noticing it. We find the program based on what we've learned in the past to work out what to do. So we automatically do what we do, act how we act, we say what we say. And so we all think it's this logical part of our mind that we're using for conscious thinking and that's running our life, but it's not. Our unconscious mind, our unconscious programs are running our day. And if you think back now to how much of what you say isn't thought through carefully, like how many actions you take in a day that you know to do, but you don't need to decide to do, it's going to be thousands. Your unconscious is actually running 95% of your life. And when I help people uncover these false beliefs, what they realise is that they've accidentally been connecting for years to really unhelpful stories that they told themselves in the past. And so if I explain to you how this actually works in practice. So Neil went through these 3 steps that I've just explained. He's a client of mine. Just to be transparent, this is not Neil, but I wanted to give you a bit of an idea about the kind of person that I'm talking about. Now, when he approached me, to me and to everyone else, I think he looked like he's nailing life. He's one of those people that looks like he's like nailing it all. And he's a successful business leader. He's got a lovely house, family, you know, he's well paid. One of those people that's like really doing well in life, but that's not what was going on. You know, on the inside, he was fed up, he was exhausted, he felt stressed out, and life wasn't easy. His life was really hard work. And he told me that he'd look at the guys emptying the bins and think that they seemed happier than he does. And he just wondered whether he should just jack it all in. And he kept telling himself all he actually wanted was a simple life, to find something simple to do. So whilst he did have the big job and all the material things that go with that, he's really unhappy. And I wonder for you if there's any part of his story that resonates. Because I find that that's quite common, that this sort of story resonates with people. Like they look like they've got it all, that they're doing so well, but actually on the inside it's blooming hard work. So to go back to him then, to go back to Neil, in reality, he didn't actually want to work on the bins. What he actually wanted to do, because he's actually capable in business, is he wanted to thrive, to do well in business, but without all this stress and doubt and worry niggling away at him all of the time. And it's this lack of clarity and the conflicted thoughts about what he should do that was one of the things holding him back and making him feel stressed and tired and just not really very happy. So what was actually going on for him is that he had some deep beliefs about himself that have been with him all of his life. And as a child, he'd never been that clever. That's his view, by the way, not mine. He seems really clever to me. But he didn't have what he considered to be a first-class education. So he started out in work, he found his way, he got recognised and promoted, but he could never understand why, because there's always somebody a bit more qualified than him. So he figured that he was really lucky. And kind of wondered when one day someone would notice, and that moment where they tap you on the shoulder and they say to you, hey, like, what are you doing in this role? You're not good enough for this. You're not smart enough for this. And so what he hadn't realised is he had some underlying false beliefs. And a big one was that he wasn't clever enough. And it was a long-held belief. It was deep-rooted. And he hadn't appreciated how it was so negatively impacting on him. But what he came to realise is that he was operating like it was true. So he'd be constantly questioning himself, doubting himself, overthinking things, second guessing himself. And of course it makes sense, doesn't it? Because if one of your beliefs is that you're not clever enough or you're not good enough in some way, of course you would be checking in with yourself all the time that you've got everything just right. And it's really common for people to hold false beliefs. It's very common for successful people. The problem is you have to work so hard to overcome them and not let them get in your way, because they'll hold you back unnecessarily. They'll stop you making really fast progress. And so whilst they got you where you are now, they just won't allow you to get to the next level. And you hear the saying, don't you? What got you here won't get you there. And in this case, it's so very true. Because while you've got these false beliefs at an unconscious level, you're making thousands of decisions based on them. So if you take this feeling of not being good enough, if we believe that we're not good enough, our unconscious is driving decisions that align to it all day, every single day. And that's one of the reasons why people hold back. It's what stops us saying what we need to. It's what stops us promoting ourselves when we're about to. It's what stops us being really visible and making a huge impact. Our unconscious mind is just saying to us, stop, don't do it, because you're not capable of that. And of course, it's not true, but that's what's going on. That being said, it is possible to change it so that we can stop these beliefs from impacting on us, and so that we can have more empowered beliefs about ourselves that are actually correct, that support us, so that we feel stronger, resilient, like really driven, so that we can achieve more success faster and in an easier way, where life is just so much easier, because it really doesn't need to be hard work. And so Neil has done all this. So once he'd done all of this, got the clarity that he needed on what he wants to achieve, worked out who he wants to be, how he wants to show up in his life, and got clear on his false beliefs and implemented step 2, which is take control and change them, which I'm going to come on to next. Like, life changed really quickly for him. And now he feels on the inside how everybody else sees him on the outside. He's living a life where he's enjoying his work, he's thriving. And as he went through the process, you could see him change. He got better results, and they came in an easier way. The thing is, you can't stumble over what these false beliefs are that are impacting you. Like with Neil, we had to work it out, because what was holding him back wasn't really obvious, and it was meaning that he had to put in so much more effort than he needed to. But people just can't work this stuff out for themselves. But to move forward, they really need to. And I'm going to be offering you the opportunity for us to do this together on a call at the end of the session. And I'll share with you the link now, because some of you, as we go through, will know that you want one of these. So if you do, you can book one here by scanning the QR code. And so on this call, what we'll do is we'll talk about what you want to achieve next, like what you really want, and then what's getting in your way. Because if you're not clear about that, you're not going to grow easily beyond where you are now, and you'll miss opportunities you actually could be taking right now. So we'll look at how you're showing up and positioning yourself with other people, whether that's clients or your team or stakeholders, and what needs to change so that you make the impact that you really want. Now, these calls are with me, they're not with anyone else, and you speak with me one-to-one for 20 to 30 minutes, and there are 15 slots of those available this week. That's all the time I've got. So if you can't make any of the slots, then email me and I'll see if I can do something different. But I've put in 15 sessions for this week for people that want to take that opportunity. So I'm going to move on. And the QR code will be, I'll leave on some of the bottom of the slides, so that if you've not had a chance to look at that yet and you know you want one, then you can just grab one. So before I go on to part 2, which is take control, in terms of clarity, I'll just finish with that. I think what you need to think about here is that most people don't know what it is that's getting in their way, because they are so used to how they think about things. You know, for me, as I speak to you in person, it becomes really clear about what it is, because I'm really used to doing it. But to move forward, you've got to figure this out. And if you can't, then I can tell you what some of these things are, because it won't take me that long to work out. But then for you, it's about owning it, taking control of it, changing it, like with 100% commitment, and being open to new ways to do that. Because the reality is, if you've been used to thinking like this for your whole life, talking about it isn't really going to change anything. You've got to be prepared to try some different ways to do it and use different techniques. And none of the ways that I actually help you to do that take long, but it's about being committed to applying them. So getting clarity is a part that nobody wants to do, because we all just want to like get to the solution, but you really have got to get clarity about what you want, because what's been holding you up, because then the next steps are really, really effective. So part 2 is about taking control. So the thing is, most people don't know how to take control because they don't know what to do. But in an attempt to try to change things and to get better results, in my experience, most people think that if they work harder, that'll be the answer to achieving their goals faster and thriving more in their life. They think that if they do more, then they'll get what they want. The reality is that's just not how it works. If you just do more and more of the same things, you're just going to get more and more of the same results. And it's about understanding how to get to our objective in the quickest time frame. Like, what are the things that you can do? What are the behaviours that you can start to implement? You know, for instance, when you don't get the outcome that you want or have the impact you want, do you go back and look at, well, what was the root cause of that, and really get to grips with it? Do you look at what in your mind actually triggered you to do the thing that you did or actually didn't do? Do you identify what it was that meant that you didn't get the outcome, or do you just dig in and hope that it improves? You know, I'd love to know for you, like, what it is you do, whether you've got a way of dealing with this, or whether you're just actually hoping that this stuff is going to change sooner or later. And I ask you that because I've been there, and I didn't have a plan to use, and my job is to give you that plan today. So in terms of how to take control, there are 2 important steps I'm going to share here with you. The first step that you need to do to take control is to reprogram self-critical thoughts by resetting your neural pathways, so you stop getting held up by second guessing yourself or feeling like not doing something, so procrastinating and holding back on something. And I've already explained that these neural pathways are created when we're young. And so once we have a belief like not feeling good enough or smart enough or knowledgeable enough, decisions and patterns of behaviour and ways of acting, they just happen because we actually program them in. And so we programmed our response. And the thing is, no matter how hard we try to stop feeling that way, we override our instincts. Like, you can't override this stuff with willpower. We program the response in. And so that's why you need to reset your neural pathways, which are like your thinking programs. And when you do this using the mindset techniques that actually work, you silence the self-criticism, you let go of irrational feelings, all of these things that are holding you back and in these mental loops and that drain you of energy. And once you've done this work, and it doesn't take very long, you have a really strong sense of self-control, and you feel really free. You know, you feel really free in your life because you've got such a strong sense of who you are, what you're capable of, and you really, really excel in your life. It's completely game-changing, and I know because I've been there. You know, I've lived and breathed this stuff, and it's a thing that I had going on for years and years in my life, and now I'm in a place where I actually don't have it anymore. So I want to explain to you like what I did and what that was like, and you might be able to relate to this if you're in the same position too. So this is what my life was like. To everyone else, I think it looked on Facebook like I had the perfect life. kids, you know, lovely partner, we've got a great home, we go on all the holidays, I had an amazing career, and, you know, I looked like I had it all. So I've been running, prior to running this business, I've been working in a company as an international HR director. We were winning awards for our approach to employment. I was leading on the people agenda. So on the face of it, I was totally successful, nailing it. But what people didn't know is that I was struggling with how I was thinking, and I was overthinking, I was worrying, I was overworking, and I felt really tired by it all. And I was unsure whether I could achieve more, but deep down I had this sense that I could. And so for me, what was happening is I used to believe things like, oh, there've got to be better HR directors out there than me. My company, when they find out, they're going to want someone else because they'll see that I'm not actually good enough to do this. And then I'd think, well, I don't really know enough to be leading on these projects. I mean, I've worked for 25 years in like senior HR roles, but I still thought that. And then I'd see other people and I perceive them to be better than me. So I go to conferences, there'd be other HR directors there, and without any evidence, I perceived these other people delivered more, knew things I didn't, because they seemed to me like they had this air, like they'd nailed it. And of course, there wasn't any evidence for any of that. I was doing a really good job, but I couldn't see it. And more to the point, I could not feel successful. And what I now appreciate is it's a really common problem for people that are successful. But the trouble is, if you leave it, it just stifles your creativity, stops you promoting yourself. And it means that you don't take the action you need to move forward at the pace that you actually could have done. So it stops you really thriving and going all out and achieving everything you could. And so much as I was successful, I struggled to talk about how I felt. I struggled to admit to myself how I was feeling, and life just felt really hard work for me, and it was really, really exhausting. And I got so used to kind of feeling that way, I thought that was just how it was. So now and then I try and pick up a book about it, or look at a TED talk or something about worry or stress or one of those things. But no matter how much I listen to any of that advice, I might feel better for a week or two, but nothing really ever shifted the needle. And I'd worked with 2 coaches, I tried a bit of CBT, and I even had a go with some counselling to see if that would crack it. And they would just say to me, what you need to do, Leanne, is you need to think differently. Well, if only I'd have known how. And that was the issue, wasn't it? Of course, I wanted to think differently, but I just didn't know how to do it, and they just couldn't help me with that either. Now, luckily for me, I did actually find the answer to it. And I have to tell you, I was so happy. And I can remember the day now. I won't go down that route now, but so happy when I discovered that I wouldn't need to live the rest of my life like feeling like that and wasting all that time and emotional energy. And so it was a relief when I could pour that into productive work, into being successful. And life's much easier now because I haven't got to spend all that time doubting my capabilities. And I absolutely believe in myself. I'm thriving, and I really want that for everybody else. And I'd love that for everybody here too. So for me, after that significant moment, I took some learning, which was that these mindset challenges can be overcome, but you have to reprogram your mindset to do it, your thinking. That to change your thinking, you do need to use some different techniques and tools that are grounded in neuroscience. So I've researched a whole range of solutions. I've qualified in a whole bunch of things that actually change how you think and how you feel. And this is where the magic happens. These tools grounded in neuroscience. So for me, I did hundreds of hours of study, and I've developed tools of my own. And I've got a complete framework that successfully changes the way you think, and it supports you to change your thinking patterns so that you behave differently, so that you make more impact, so that you improve your relationships, and so that you're more visible and that you promote yourself. Ultimately, that you're more successful and feel that sense of inner peace that you may not have felt in such a long time. And I'd love to know for you in the chat, like, do you feel like you'd like to regain some inner peace? Because lots of people I work with actually come to me because they want to take their business to the next level, or they want to get better results, or their goals faster. But actually what they really, really want is just to feel a sense of inner peace, which they might not have experienced for such a long time in their life. So I'd love to know for you, is that a thing? Because I find that that's really common. Anyway, so I think the chat's running a little bit behind sometimes, so I'll leave you to answer into there, but do let me know, because I'd love to know. It's really very common. So Right, so this framework that I use it to help people craft a plan to move forward, basically. And if you want a call with me at the end, I'll show you how we craft that plan for you, and how you can move forward in the same way. So there's one more step on take control that I would love to share with you now, and that's how to take control when things are uncertain and you start to experience all the feelings that go with uncertainty, like apprehension, nervousness, fear, worry, anxiety, feeling scared, all those sorts of things. And then what you can put in place, a bit behind on the slides, what you can put in place to overcome any obstacle that gets in your way, like how to deal with uncertainty, how you can stop it distracting you, because it absolutely will happen. I don't know if you notice that now. So I'd love to know, have you got a way of dealing with uncertainty, how to overcome situations when things get really tough? Or maybe, like lots of people, you do sit there and procrastinate over what to do about it and let it go round and round in your mind, and it just holds you up. Because if you find it does hold you up, just know that that is not your fault. You just don't know a way to overcome it yet. It's absolutely a sort of a human wiring issue. And I know, because I've been there, you've just seen the pictures. And, when I accepted that award, I was absolutely bricking it. Because what if I won and had to do an acceptance speech? And I remember that day and all the worry before about something that was just such an achievement, and I should have been excited. And instead I spent my whole day worrying. Anyway, so what I notice is that feelings like fear or worry are holding people back. And again, they don't have to, you just need a way of dealing with it. Now, for my clients and for myself, it's been absolutely game-changing learning how to do this. The thing is, it isn't always obvious what's going on. And I've got clients who say to me, I don't fear things. And then when we start to look deeper, it is actually fear. It's just that quite often people give themselves a different reason, because it isn't very nice to admit. I mean, I don't like to admit when I've felt worried or scared in the past, or where I felt nervous, because we feel like, especially when we're in really senior roles or running businesses, we feel like we shouldn't feel that way. That in some way that we need to be superhuman and be able to do it all and cope with it all. And I had a client of mine, and he didn't like live video, and he thought it was about how prepared he was. But it wasn't. When we dug into it, it was fear. And once we've established that, I helped him to deal with it. And now he's really good on video. It is possible to deal with it. It's just people don't know how to do this stuff. So to help me explain, our brain likes us to stay the same. It's hardwired to keep us safe. And for survival, it triggers us to protect ourselves. So something will happen and our brain tries to protect us and keep us safe. It triggers behavior that it intends to do this. But of course, our brain is primitive. Okay, it hasn't evolved as much as society has, and so our reaction can be counterproductive to success. It can mix up fear of modern issues with fear for our life. Now, a perfect example of this is when people say, I'd sooner die than speak in public. No one actually is going to die, are they, from speaking in public, but they fear it in absolutely the same way. So our brain wants us to stay safe and in our comfort zone and not try new things, not put ourselves out there, because mentally that feels not safe. And there are two really common fears. I mean, there are several, but the two most common I want to talk about today that hold most people up are these two. The first one is fear of failure. Now, if we want to succeed, of course, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to fail, aren't we, at points? But that's okay, because we're actually going to survive. It's not a threat to our life, but it is a little bit of a threat to our pride. That's what really holds us back with fear of failure. It's often about hurting our pride or our ego. And that's because our primitive brain doesn't realise that failing to achieve a goal isn't actually life-threatening, okay? It can't distinguish between these two things at an unconscious level. And so where there's a conflict between our conscious or our logical thinking and our unconscious, this habitual thinking that we've got, we will always talk ourselves, or very often talk ourselves, out of the thing that we really need to do to move forward. So whilst you logically know that you're more than capable of something, or that it's perfectly possible for you, your brain triggers thoughts like, what if it doesn't work out? What if I put myself out there? What if people think, who are they to be doing this? What if, absolutely keeps us safe. But my word, it wastes time, energy. It just absolutely holds us back. So the second then is fear of being a fraud. So fear of being found out. So we wonder when someone is going to find out that we don't know enough, or that we haven't got all the answers, or maybe we've not done everything in this project before. And a symptom of that is what I call procrastinating. I spoke about this a bit earlier on, actually. It's about trying to perfect our knowledge so that we know enough. So, you know, who says when we know enough? But I find that people who go on to work with me will spend a lot of time before that trying to upgrade their knowledge before they realise it was never really knowledge. It was just actually this deep sense of self-belief, this mindset that's so resilient with empowered thoughts and feelings so that you move through all of this. Now, fear was an issue for Christine, who is a client of mine, and I'll talk to you a bit about how she overcome it. She worked basically in corporates. She had held a senior role and she was made redundant, and so she decided she'd set up her own business, and she'd been working in her business for about 2 years when she started working with me in my program, but she wasn't making headway. Now, I'd met her 2 years before when she actually started her business in a networking group we'd met. And to me, like at the time, she seemed like it was all going well. She seemed knowledgeable, intelligent, experienced. You know, I was really impressed by her. But when I actually then came on to work with her 2 years later, she said to me that she'd had some self-doubt issues. And that, you know, you wouldn't have known it because she seemed really capable, but she wasn't going out and making sales and doing the business development that she needed to. And so she was finding excuses not to do it, to avoid it. And so while she enjoyed the networking calls in our community where she felt great, the business development, the cold calling, the cold sales, she found that really hard to do. But she knew she had to do it for her business to be sustainable in the long term. But she couldn't understand what was going on. You know, she knew she could absolutely go and do that stuff, but it filled her with fear. Now, with Christine and with loads of my clients, fear is a problem. That fear of making a mistake, fear of putting yourself out there, fear of people saying, like, what do they know? Fear of someone turning you down. It's really common. And it gets in the way and it really holds people up. Now, for Christine, she overcame that and she invested in herself. She dealt with fear and she said that she knew she could achieve more, but she was avoiding sales and business development. But after she made the changes, she had the confidence to go out and make the sales and not feel that fear, self-doubt or not good enough. And she actually increased her income by 50% in just 10 weeks. So her life became unrecognizable. And she says, like so many other people, she wished she just did it 20 years ago. It would have actually been really useful in her corporate life too. But she nearly didn't do it. And she's glad that she did now because everything changed for her in her business. That's fear. You may or not be able to see it for yourself, but it holds so many people back. It is a really big issue and it's playing in so often and it will hold us up if we don't combat it. And you know, if we don't, life's always going to feel really hard, and who actually wants that? And, you know, when it goes, it's something clients find astounding that they can actually change because they've been so used to feeling that way. And I had one lady who one morning messaged me because she used to feel anxious every morning when she woke up. And when we got to the bottom of it, she learned what was causing her to feel that way. And then she dealt with it. And then one morning she messaged me, as I say, and said she woke up and that feeling of anxiousness had just gone. And she tried to find it. She actually looked for it, but it wasn't there. So she decided to think about her goal and actually what she wanted out of her life instead. What a nicer way to wake up in the morning. So let me recap how you move forward from here. So my 5 serious recommendations from today are these. You know, and I say this having been there and experienced it all for myself. What I really recommend you do is take time to decide what it is that you really want. You know, get clear on your identity and who you actually want to be, how you want to show up in your life. Don't spend time working out, don't second guess what it is that's getting in the way. Work out exactly what false beliefs you've got that are limiting you right now. And then the 4th recommendation is to use techniques that are grounded in neuroscience for this specific purpose that actually work, that reset your thinking patterns, your neural pathways, so that you act like you want to act, so that you say what you want to say, so that you become the person that you want to be. Because fear holds so many people back because they don't know how to control it. And you need to find a way that works because life absolutely does not need to be this hard. So to achieve your full potential, get the results you deserve, you know, you don't need to work harder, do more or cope better. You need a process to effectively decide who you are, what you want, and eliminate self-critical thoughts and feelings. And I know that you'll be passionate about what you do and that you'll be incredibly capable, but, you know, it's about getting to a point where you get the results that you deserve in just such a much easier way. So having said all of that, let me know into the chat whether that's something that you would like. So let me see. I've got loads of comments here. Thank you so much. Let's see. Agree. Okay. So inner peace. Yeah, lots of people have that. It really is. I probably should make that the main point, because most people, yeah, they want to achieve all these other things, but they actually just want to feel like better in themselves. You're saying you procrastinate, you worry about public speaking. Okay, so I hope what I've said so far has been useful for you, and there is going to be time for a Q&A shortly, and you can ask me absolutely anything. I'll answer any question you've got. But for those of you here now that this is resonating with, and you're sat here realising that you need to do something different to live the life you want to live, to get the results you want to get, and you're ready to get this done, then I have got an opportunity. I can see some more coming in here. Okay, so people are saying it resonates. People want to be fearless. I've got the opportunity. I'm like distracted by the comments. Okay, I'm going to come back to those. So for those of you that's resonating with, and you realise that you've got to just do something different, or you'd like to do something different to live the life that you actually want to live, get the results you want, and you're ready to get this done. Okay, I've got an opportunity for you. So, and it's only for you if you are taking a long, hard look at this and realising that you haven't got the clarity that you need. You're not taking enough control of this right now. And you're sat here being prepared to be really honest with yourself about that. And like, you know that you really want to make the change, because it won't be for everybody. Okay, it's for a certain type of person who wants to make that long-lasting change now. They just want to move forward on this stuff. So I just introduce you to my Limitless Success Academy. Now, you can't buy this, it's application only, because I want to make sure it's the right program for you. And I'm sure that if you were going to join it, that you would want to make sure of that too. It's a program with in-person coaching and mentoring, with accountability that's going to motivate you to get the work done. So if you're not willing to do the work, then it absolutely will not be for you. Okay, it will require some work. But what I have is a framework and a set of steps that you can follow, which basically shows you how to change your thinking and your mindset so you get the results you want. And I'm there to support you all the way, to help you become the person you want to be in your life. And I asked you that at the beginning of the workshop. And I do this across 12 weeks. It's one module a week, and it takes around about an hour. It's slightly different, varies week to week, but it's bite-sized, step by step. Because most of the people I work with haven't got loads of time, but most people can fit in an hour or so a week. And the process and the framework I use is my Fresh system. It's got 5 steps to it. And I'll just go through them very briefly now. So step 1 is about mindset fundamentals. And you know, if I was to ask you, would you know what subconscious thoughts and false beliefs are getting in the way of your success right now? Because most people don't really know this. So in step 1 of the program, we actually uncover this. And I explain precisely how to use your mind to get extraordinary results. I share mindset fundamentals that people don't know, the science behind the framework and why it works for everyone. And I help you get clarity about what you want to create in your life, who you want to be, so that you create a balanced life for you and the success that you actually want to. And so that you just stop holding yourself back, you start making the changes, and you get momentum so that you take control of your future. And because I really like people to get quick wins, I share how to activate new levels of success from week 1 using a rapid transformation tool to end feeling nervous in high pressure situations where basically you can switch on cast iron confidence. And as I talked about Christine earlier, this was one of the things that was really game changing for her. And it meant that she had a way of turning up and doing sales activity that she'd actually avoided for years, but she turned up feeling really confident doing that. So step 2 then is where I think the magic happens. It's the reprogramming phase, where you actually alter your beliefs and your limiting thoughts at a deep level, and you discover how to replace self-critical negative thoughts with empowered thoughts, so you don't get held up in these negative thought spirals, and instead you move forward effortlessly and easily. And you'll learn how to achieve your vision but still remain true to yourself and what's important to you. You master emotional control, which is so important. You like using some of the techniques I share so that you shift negative feelings and discover how to replace them with really empowered feelings, like feeling focused and self-assured and composed and resilient. And it really shifts you forward. And like Colin's in the program right now, he said that once I'd said to him, it's really hard to lead the cavalry if you think you look funny on a horse. And for him, that was something that really resonated. And for him, the program's liberated him from known and unknown beliefs, what he's saying. And he recommends the program. And as I say, he's in the program right now. So step 3 is embed and embark. So in this stage, you learn some new mindset principles and strategies, because business people are much like, you may or may not agree with me, but they're much like Olympic athletes, but from a mindset perspective. Because, have you ever wondered how successful business people think? Lots of people don't give a lot of thought to this, but there are some fundamental principles that they're applying. And so in step 3 of the program, I share what these mindset principles are so that you can achieve your own exceptional results. And I share mindset accelerator tools to help you embed the transformation you've made in the earlier phases and just break through all this self-sabotaging behavior so you move forward with motivation, with flow, and with a renewed sense of energy. And then, of course, as you move into the future, you get more success, you see more opportunities, and then you will hit bumps in the road. That is what's going to happen, isn't it? As we grow and evolve, we will hit more roadblocks. So this stage also equips you with some tools and techniques so that you can confidently navigate through anything and proceed, so that nothing holds you back. And it's like Clive. So he said he changed roles and he felt like he needed to do something different and consider how he was managing himself and how he approached and reacted to situations. And he wanted this mindset shift and to remove the fear of failure that people have. And he said that my ability to get to the root cause of why we are the way we are was really insightful for him. And it's given him a more balanced perspective on himself, the way other people see him, and on his life. So step 4 is about social success. Now, having experienced your own transformation, in this stage, you finesse your social influence and build better relationships. And you discover how to create deeper, healthier, and really magnetic relationships with other people that support you to achieve the outcomes that you want and have a ripple effect in your life that so many people that I meet actually want to have. And so you'll learn how to assert yourself regardless of difference or disagreement. And you'll discover, people love this, how to stop being triggered by difficult characters or difficult situations or worrying what someone else thinks. And Jimmy's a client of mine that specifically really enjoyed this part of the program because I helped him address his internal challenges with dealing with difficult situations and people. And he says they are deep down lifelong changes. And he was the one that was getting his own way. So then in step 5 is where you head off with new habits for success. So let me just ask you this. Have you ever had one thing that you've always wanted to do or to be able to do that you just never really felt like you're capable enough of doing? Because in the program, using all these steps, I share how to use the main asset you've got in your life, which is actually yourself, so that you're delivering your peak personal performance. So in this final stage, we draw all of that together, all the insights, all the learnings, you acknowledge all the things that you'll have achieved all the way through the program and just how far you've come. And so if I share with you, Kelly, she said that she'd been finding it hard to take action and to move her business forward, and she'd absolutely no idea why. And so we worked on a coaching program together, and she was surprised by how deep we went, but she started to shift her perspective really quickly, take action in her business, and she feels empowered, enthusiastic. She's got complete self-belief, and she promotes herself in her business all of the time now. And so that's the process I went through with her and all the people that I mentioned to you. Now, the starting point for getting results is a clarity call, a strategy call with me, where we sit and talk about where you're at, the objective you're trying to meet, and I'll show you how to create a path for you to achieve it in a time frame that's realistic. I'm not going to promise the world. I'm going to give you a realistic time frame of how we can hit your objective. And then the fresh program that I've spoken about is how we facilitate the implementation of that plan. Now, if you want a call, you can go on and book one. But what you get, for those of you that want to know what you get in the academy, in the package, is this. So the Limitless Success Academy package is basically 12-month access to the academy program, and that's 12 step-by-step training modules that you get. So you get 12 weeks worth of training, one module per week to implement, that takes around about an hour, maybe slightly more some weeks to implement. And then you also get access to 2 live group coaching workshops where I support you to take these steps. So every month I'm delivering content to you in new ways so that you really connect with it and you make these shift changes. Now, all the calls are recorded, so if you can't make it live, you can watch them. But people really enjoy connecting together and implementing these steps. So you've got the pre-recorded course where you work through the 12 modules, and then also you get 2 live group coaching calls per month. So through the whole 12-month program, you get 24 group coaching calls and workshops too, if you'd like them. You have to attend those. Some people choose not to. Other people love attending them. What people often find is they enjoy them more than they expected. So when you join the program, you get to look back at a couple of them and see whether there's something that you want to come to as well. But I fully recommend it. And then the next thing that you get is personalised feedback and answers to any questions. So I've got an online community. You can drop a question in any time and I'll answer you. There's accountability to get this done. I will email you to remind you twice a month to come to the workshops with me, and there'll be prompts in the community for you to answer every week. And then you also get access, and this is a bonus, but I think it's necessary, is you get access to my personal productivity blueprint course, so that you make sure that you're really focused on high value tasks and activities and that you don't waste time. Because I find lots of people joining my program don't have much time. And actually, when you learn how to restructure it and do things in a bit of a different way, you free up an incredible amount of time. Now, it typically takes 12 weeks to go through the program, but of course changes start happening from week 1. It's not a program where you just sit and listen and do something at the end. Every single week you're doing something to move forward. The cost of it is £997 as a one-off, or across 12 months it's £97 per month to be able to do it. But you can't buy it. I'd like to have a conversation with you. We both would want to agree it's the right thing. So on the call, I'll ask you some questions, and I'm sure that you would want to ask me some questions too. But by the end of the call, I'll have certainty about whether it's the right thing for you or not. So the next step then is, if you are interested in that, is to book a call. I've got 15 slots available throughout the week, or at least that's what I had when I started. When they're gone, they're gone. And if you can't make one of those slots, then message me and we'll see what I can do. So if you've got any questions, then I've got some Q&A time now. I hope that's been really useful for you in terms of the steps that you need to take forward. And do feel free to ask me any questions now into the chat. Let me have a look in the Q&A and see if I've got any in there. Oh, yes, you can get a copy of the slides. My apologies. The replay will actually be emailed out in a few hours' time. So if you look out in your emails this afternoon, I think it's due out about 4 o'clock. So you'll be able to get a copy of the slides and you can watch the presentation back again then. So hopefully that will be good for you. Okay, so thank you. Anybody got any questions that they would like to ask? I'm happy to answer any questions about the transformation I've been through, about the steps to take, about the program. Really feel free to ask me anything. I'm totally happy to answer anything while I'm here with you now live. So, okay, see me. Okay, so people have booked. Oh, lovely! I can't wait to meet some of you guys. Okay, someone said they'll see me later. Great. Oh, thank you. I love that. Great presentation skills. Thank you very much. I used to be a terrible presenter, so nervous. Okay, good. Okay, I can't see any questions coming through. I'm just going to hang on in case anybody's got any to ask. And then if there aren't any, then I'm going to just end the call. But sometimes people are waiting to see if there are questions that are relevant to them. So do feel free to ask me anything. Roger's going to see me later. Yeah, he's in my program already. So yes, look forward to it. Although, is it later today? I thought it was next week, Roger. I'm going to have a look in a minute. I think it might be next week. So check that now. Okay, good. So any more for anyone? I can see that people are still on. If you do have anything to ask, like, really feel free. And if you don't want to ask in front of the group, then you can private message me, and I'm happy to work on reading some of this, happy to answer anything. It's a hand raise, right? So people have got to go. That's perfect. Okay. Oh, somebody's wanting to speak. Hold on a minute. I've never done this before. Let me just see if I can do that. Natalie, is there something you're wanting to ask? If you're still there, I hadn't noticed that. If there is, you can do that now. Maybe you've left. I've obviously left that a little bit long. Okay, good. Okay, well, I'm going to finish up there because it looks like that there isn't anybody wanting to ask any questions. So, look, thank you very much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure sharing this with you. If you do want to reach out to me and ask anything, then just DM me on social media, or you can drop me an email through my website. Take care, and I'll speak to you really soon.